Toyota gave us one of the best features on the 4th generation Toyota Tacoma. Starting in 2024, they gave us 3 pre-wired auxiliary switches. On the 2025 and up Toyota Tacoma, they gave us 4 pre-wired auxiliary switches, wired straight from the factory. And after wiring pod lights, rock lights, rear lights, always on Raptor lights, I've learned a lot. I even added custom vanity switches to make my 4th gen Toyota Tacoma Trailhunter my own. Today I'm breaking down everything I've learned so you can wire your truck smarter. If you've been confused about what AUX switch does what, this will save you hours of digging through diagrams. Quick overview before we dive into each circuit. AUX 1, the 40 amp big boy. This is reserved for something major up front like a winch, big light bar, or future high draw accessory. AUX 2, front low amp accessories. In my case, my pod lights. AUX 3, I ran this to the rear and used it for rock lights. AUX 4, also rear, pairing my rigid rear lights. The beauty is that Toyota already did the hard part. The truck is pre-wired. We're just taking advantage of it. Let's start up front. Pod lights, the AUX 2 connection, and the little hop that gets you power to the back and even get ignition on power for stuff like Raptor lights. Up front, AUX 2 is what I use for my pod lights. The factory harness is right there. So instead of running relays and a whole mess of wiring, I just tapped into the AUX 2 lead and let Toyota do the heavy lifting. Now you want to disconnect your battery. I won't go into detail on it here, but I will put a link down below if you've never disconnected a battery before. If you haven't already, unbox your pigtails that came with your truck. You want the pigtail that is associated with the auxiliary high pigtails, the blue background. And we are going to be hooking it into the red 20 amp wire for our ditch lights. So you can see I've got it mounted coming over there from the passenger side here, coming over here from the driver's side over here. Let's go ahead and take our pigtail out. Let's go ahead and take this off. Simply squeeze and take off. Here we're just combining the left and right ditch lights to act as one. Hot to hot, negative to negative. And put butt connectors on the end of it so we can connect it up to our pigtail. Perfect. Alright, let's head to the pigtail. So you want to strip off the red wire as identified in the blue card as the 20 amp wire, and then you want to strip off the black and white wire for the negative and ground. Alright, put some protective sheeting around the pigtail wires. Insert the pigtail wires into the butt connectors, crimp, and you're done. And of course, once you're done, use zip ties to make it nice, neat, and tidy. And we are going to plug it in. There we go. Now, let's test the ditch lights. Let's push the AUX 2 button and light her up. These are AUX beam pod lights. If you're interested, I've got you a discount code. I'll put a link in the description. You can go check out the sponsors page on my website, SmokyMountainTaco.com. I want to talk about something no one else is addressing. If you have a rear auxiliary switch connector in your 4th gen Toyota Tacoma, it's not powered by default. It has no power. In order to get power to your rear accessories, there is a step you need to take, and I'm going to show you how to do it. We have 4 auxiliary connectors across the 2025 Tacoma. For the 3 auxiliary ports, there are non-powered circuits in the rear. It has no power. For the 4 auxiliary ports, it's the same. There is no power going to the rear auxiliary connectors. What do we do? The key is in your yellow carded pigtail kit that came with your truck. So notice the return connectors here. This is for the jumper pigtail, and this is how you get power to the rear. So you have to take the jumper pigtail and connect it to connector A. And there is another connector that's hidden just to the right of the washer reservoir that you have to connect to in order to get power to the rear. Let me show you. You can see I took this cap off from this location right here. And normally that's what you would wire accessories up the front. And that's what's generally taught on YouTube. But if you want rear lock, that's wrong. You can have a 5 amp going here for something small. But what you actually want to do is take this pigtail jumper right here, this one right here, with a jumper, especially if you're going to have rear accessories. And you're going to plug it in right here and take this jumper end right here and plug it in, see if we can find it, right down here. That little cap right there, we unplug it, plug that jumper in, and that's the only way to get power to that rear port back right here. Otherwise, that is not powered unless you do that. So I'm not going to be able to use the camera on this because it's just too much of a tight spot. But I'll show you the end result. So here's the end result. That's the jumper plugged in on the end of the pigtail, and then over here it's plugged into the AUX connector. So what you do is on this jumper, you take that off and you plug this in 2-pin connector to this, to that after you got it off. And you can use a long needle nose pliers to get that thing off. It'll take some effort, but it can be done. So let's wire this through and plug it in, and we will have power to the rear. This is a tight spot. There's no doubt about it. Once we have it in there, we're never taking this off again. I think I about got it. Come on, almost. Yes, finally. So now we can take this end and we can plug that in right there. And we will never take this off again. Click, and it's in. Now we are ready for any rear power accessories we want to add. All right, let's go to the back of the truck. That's where AUX 3 and 4 really shine. Out back, I'm using AUX 3 for my rock lights and AUX 4 for my rear rigid lights. So now I've got full control. Rock lights for night trail runs, camp setups, or styling at the mall. Rear lights for backing up at night, loading gear, or lighting up the campsite. This is where the 4th gen really started to win me over. Instead of running a giant aftermarket relay panel, I just used what Toyota baked in. With the rigid rear light kit from Specialty Performance, since we have a 2025 Tacoma, we're going to have to cut this off and strip it. This will work on a 24 Tacoma, but not on a 25. So we're going to have to cut that, and we are going to wire up to green. That'll be the only wire we're wiring up. So I'm going according to the yellow chart for the rear. So essentially just connect the green wire on the pigtail to the red wire on the harness with a butt connector. All right, we won't be using the ground back there in the back because it's already wired up the ground, and this is for another accessory. This would be a 20 amp accessory that we can access in the back. And then we'll just plug this in between the 2 red wires underneath the truck. We're going to take this red wire here and we are going to unplug it. We are going to plug this end that's now going to our pigtail. Plug that over there. Plug the other end. That's going to, well, I think that's the tail light. Yep, tail light, I believe. And then here, since now we now have power back here, you can now use this. And now let's test this out and see if it works. Now, if you're interested in this, I'll be sure to put a full link to the full install down below. So that was AUX 4. This is AUX 3, my rock lights. This has got to be one of the coolest mods I've ever done. Let me show you how you wire it in using the pre-wired AUX connector. Alright, so here's a rear AUX connector. You can see right here, it's ready for us. The black wire is what we're going to hook our positive to, and then this black and white wire right here is what we're going to hooking our ground into. And we know this from the yellow card that comes with your 4th gen Toyota Tacoma. And we're already using the green one for the rear rigids. Before we do this, I am going to kill the power to the Tacoma. That's a great thing about having a battery kill switch if you ever need to do electrical. Makes it super easy from disconnecting the battery. Next, on the auxiliary rear pigtail, you want to strip the black wire And then once that's done, strip the black and white wire. But then once you have them done, twist both wires to get them nice and ready for the controller wires. Next, we're going to cut the positive and negative wires off of the controller. Next, we're going to strip the ends off, positive and negative. And to be clear, this is the controller supplied by AUX beam. Then be sure to twist them nice and tight to get them ready for the butt connector. And then simply just insert it into the end of the butt connector and then crimp. And then do the same for the negative. Crimp. Apply some heat. I found the perfect place to mount the controller. It's on this bracket right above the spare tire in the rear. Next, take the controller wires that you put the butt connectors on and wire them up to the pigtail. The red wire will go to the black wire, and the black wire will go to the black and white wire. Once this is completed, it's wired to the AUX 3 switch in the cab. After that, zip tie it up and make sure everything's nice, neat, and tidy. Generation Toyota Tacoma has a secret, yet pre-wired always-on power just sitting there. Today we're tapping into it to power your lights the right way, or any accessory that you won't always own when your truck is on. No gimmicks, no sketchy wiring, no splicing, no guessing, and Toyota doesn't even talk about it. Let's unlock it. I have found out if you have an electrical accessory that you won't always own when the truck is on, how to wire it up to the pre-wired auxiliary connectors and have it always on without using an ADA circuit in the fuse box. That's insane, but it is possible. The secret is the rear pigtail jumper if you have it running to the rear of your truck. That's the secret. It is a watt wire, 5 or 10 amps, and you just wire it into that off the pigtail jumper that's going to the rear. That's it. It's that simple. But I'll show you how to install these Raptor lights. Some people love them, some people hate them. The important thing is, if you have an always own accessory that you won't own when the truck is on, this video is for you. I did wire the negative ground of these Raptor lights to the negative ground that's typically over on the driver's side portion of the engine bay. I had a hunch if I wired up the negative to the pigtail, if I could control it through an AUX switch. We need to get access to the grill, so we need to push these clips down, then pry them off with a trim removal tool. And you've got several here to do. It's just when you take this off, be careful because they will go flying everywhere. So we need to find that white wire that's on that jumper, and then we're going to strip it. There it is. And then we're going to place a butt connector on it. The easiest way I found is put the butt connector on the wire crimpers, then place it on the white wire, and then crimp. Now you can see the butt connector on that white wire right now. It makes it stand out pretty good. Now let's apply some heat to get that to shrink up a little bit. If you're interested in these Raptor lights or want to see the full install process, I'll put a link down in the description, and be sure to check out my pinned comment. Easier on ourselves. We're going to take this ADA circuit, we're going to cut it, we're going to strip it, and then we're going to place that into the butt connector that's on that white wire. The rest of this is super easy to wire up. Connect the Raptor light wiring harness to this wire that's connected to the butt connector and that white wire. Let's apply some heat, and then let's go ahead and mount up our ground over here on the side, and then we can tidy up the wires later. All right, let's start it up. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, I like that. So I yanked out AUX 2 and dropped in a Sasquatch switch to fire up these massive AUX beam pods. With AUX 3 I had more fun. I replaced it with a taco switch for my rock lights. I went with an amber switch because I like the look of crunchy tacos at night. Not a fan of the amber light up at the top, so I may change that at some point in the future, we'll see. I'll show you how to install one, and the others are the same. Again, this is for the 4th generation Toyota Tacoma. An AUX 4? Now it's for a proper rear light switch. Once you see this in action, you'll never look at your Tacoma switches the same way again. You're going to need a ratchet with an extension, 8mm socket, trim removal toolkit, and I recommend a cold drink. First, I'll pull out the storage gear mounted with the desert system. And I love this, by the way. Be sure to go check out that video. Anyway, we got to remove this so I can get the floor mats out. So first thing, we're going to pop this up. It should just pop right up, just like the 3rd gen. Easy does it, and there we go. Next, we want to remove the driver's side kick panel. Just unscrew the retaining clip. Next, remove the kick panel. Then we'll take out the first 8mm screw. Then we'll take out the 8mm screw and pull off the lower dash panel. Next, grab a plastic trim removal tool and carefully pry off the far right dash panel where the switches are located. Now, I picked these switches up from ch4before.com, and I'm working on making them available soon my own website as well. To get them out, you'll need to unplug the switch connectors, remove as many as necessary. Pro tip: snap a picture, label the wires before unplugging them, so you don't mix things up during reassembly. To pop out the switch itself, I used a J-hook tool from my Amazon trim removal kit. Push in one side of the switch, then the other, and it slides right out the front. Installing the new switch is easy. Just press it in until it clicks into place, reconnect your wires, and then reassemble everything in reverse order. These AUX switches really define your Tacoma as your own, regardless of your trim level. And I love the customization. The one thing I didn't go over is the cabin AUX connector, located on the left side of the driver's side dash. You can use the same pigtail that goes with a green card for the cabin and is perfect for things like the Wii Boost cell phone booster, dash devices, extra power for more switches. For anyone adding comms, a signal booster, or small electronics, this is a lifesaver. If you like that video, be sure to hit the subscribe, like, share, and comment down below. We'll see you next time. Smoky Mountain Taco, out.